BTL, coming at you. Good Thursday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, how you doing?
I'm perusing the standings from day one of the 2019 Carhartt Bassmaster College Series at the St. Lawrence River, presented by Bass Pro Shops, Mark. I guess you don't have to say presented by Bass Pro Shops, considering everything is presented by Bass Pro Shops in professional fishing.
Okay.
All right, you have not seen these results,
I
have
have
you?
not. I have not.
There are college teams from all over the country.
By the way, we have a great show today. We're going to have Tommy BIFFLE on here in about 15 minutes.
149 teams. What do you think's leading it? St. Lawrence River.
Day one.
Day one. College kids.
22 pounds.
No. Keep going.
Oh. 26 pounds.
26.6.
I went too far off.
Nolan Minor. Casey
Obviously.
Lanier, West Virginia. What do you think the top 12 is?
You mean 12th place?
12th place after day one.
22.
Keep going.
Wow. 24.
24.7.
Wow.
What do you think 40th place is?
22.
22.12.
I was dead on.
What do you think 80th place is?
20.
20 pounds, 8 ounces.
I have not seen these.
What do you think 118th place is?
18.
18 dead nuts on. 118 teams out of the 149 teams had at least 18 pounds, and all but 3 teams had a 5 bass limit. Now, I fish college, Mark. It is a total gong show with some of these kids. Now, maybe they're just completely professional now. But back when I fished it,
time ago.
There were a handful of teams, and maybe us included at times, where we were just lucky to get to the damn weigh-in and get our boats in the water.
It's a long time ago,
The
man.
fishing, the catching of the fish was a bonus.
The game has evolved.
I'm just saying, they're biting on the St. Lawrence River.
Yeah, all right.
A 20-pound
All right.
bag puts you in 85th
All
place.
right, I'm going to ask you this question. Seriously, I want your opinion. All right, both from a fan's perspective, from a media perspective, and from an angler perspective. Is this a situation where it's all about, oh, I just happen to get lucky and catch 5-pounders instead of 4-pounders? It sounds like everybody's doing the same thing, dude.
Yeah, but look
Is
at
it
the
more
Elite
of a
Series.
lottery?
No.
No. These guys are not professionals. That's not what
No,
I'm
but that Nolan
referring to.
Minor kid who's up there, he catches them in every single tournament.
Okay,
Nick
great.
Ratliff, he's in the top 10.
That's a few guys.
That name looks familiar.
I'm talking about the entire field.
Well, I mean, it seems like if you launch your boat, you catch 20 pounds out there. Now, I don't know. I mean, maybe these guys found a certain section of the river. Maybe they found
80
that they're
teams?
Maybe the top 10 found, maybe they're spawning on a different type of bottom. Maybe they figured out a different section of river. Maybe they're fishing deeper to get the bigger bites. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to back it up. I mean, if a team comes in with 26 pounds 3 days in a row and everyone else has 24, yeah, I'd say there's maybe a little bit more skill
Okay,
involved
is it more
there.
like a lottery or a grind?
Well, this is not a grind. This is
No,
a
it's a lottery.
celebration of fish catching.
Dude, it's a lottery.
Nah,
I'm in the right. I just happen to catch a 5-pounder instead of a 4-pounder.
That could I'm sure there are some teams up there who have 5 and 6 pounders who got lucky. I'm sure there's other teams that figured out how to target those 5 and 6 pounders more. Just like when they were there the last time, KVD let it wire to wire when everyone else had 20 pounds, but he had 24 to 26. You want to call that luck too? Was it a lottery that Kevin was catching
he's
the 5s?
the greatest angler of
well,
all
maybe
time.
some of these kids at the top have figured out something a little different to get the bigger bites. It's just like that in every tournament.
Look, dude, if you had to point the needle, all right, this side or that side, what is it? Is it a lottery or is it
I don't
grind?
know. I'm not there.
Based on the perception and based upon what you can figure out.
I would say there's
from
some skill to figure out a way to get 26.6 as opposed to 23.
I'm not talking about the top guy. I'm talking about the masses.
The masses?
Yes. I'm talking about the entire field.
Scratch off the ticket and hope they match.
There you have it.
But that's in every tournament.
Dude, no, it's not.
In most
I'm
fishing
not
tournaments.
taking away from what the guys at the top of the leaderboard are doing. That's not what I'm saying.
I mean, I would say the guys between 21 and 23 pounds,
One guy
probably caught a 6-pounder for their team.
Yeah. But it maybe, 5, 6, maybe even 10 teams.
That's
I don't
insane.
know.
Do you
maybe
know how,
they're doing. Oh, dude,
do you know how long
crazy.
it takes to land a 4-pound smallmouth on the St. Lawrence River, especially right now if they're running with it being high like that?
I'm with you, man.
I mean, and then
it's impressive.
Now, granted, it is a team tournament, but it's still, that's insane. I mean, that's spending probably an hour of your day fighting fish. As an 18-year-old college kid, you're up there up north. You're out of school for this summer.
I'm with you, man.
I mean, all these guys, I guarantee there's 140, let's just keep it 140, which means there's 280 kids out there.
Yeah.
200 of them yesterday was probably the biggest bag of smallmouth they have ever weighed in.
Kudos.
And
kudos to them.
For the rest of their lives, there's probably 100 kids that when they're 50, 60 years old, they'll be like, I remember that time when I was 20, we weighed in a 24-pound limit of smallmouth. Because unless you're fishing up there all the time and you can break it. I mean, if you're a dude from LSU Shreveport with 23 pounds of, that's not happening in the bayou anytime soon.
It might on redfish. You go out, catch a few
smallmouth.
Not on smallmouth.
So, I'm just looking at it, and I'm looking at it as a former college angler, looking at these weights, this is what that they'll be telling their grandkids about. Great. And I also saw they're also coming out with like a documentary on collegiate fishing.
Really?
Yeah, I think Van Dam. I can't remember who it is. There's some media company that's coming out with it. It's like I saw a tease online about it, and it's like, kind of the next step. I've been saying this for 10 years. I mean, I think going forward, we're going to start saying, so-and-so from West Virginia University, from University of South Carolina.
We do it now.
I know, but just like they do in football when they do the starting rosters, it'll be their name and then the school that they fished for.
Yeah.
Going forward,
that's
more
cool
and more.
Stuff.
I mean, you're seeing like 20, 30% of the kids now.
Absolutely. Now, since you weren't on this show, this was when Bradley was in studio, Bradley Hallman. I made the request to receive information, since we're talking about college right now, if there's any female collegiate anglers out there that have aspirations to continue after they earn their degree to try and make a run at the tour. And I received several names and contact information, and when I get back from Vegas, I'm actually going to work on that. So I didn't want anybody who submitted a name or a suggestion on getting somebody on the show that fits that criteria. I didn't want you to think that I totally forgot about that. No, I've got them, and I'm going to be doing my work to try and secure one of these people on the show once we get back from Vegas. What's wrong?
I'm looking at the BTL lead photo for today's show.
Yeah.
And Tommy is smiling in his profile pic for Major League Fishing.
Yeah, man.
It looks weird.
There's nothing wrong with that. All right. Another thing about college fishing that I want to bring up real quick. And if there's anybody out there, once again, I am turning to our audience that if anybody out there knows, and we actually had a collegiate bass fishing coach on this show.
From McKendree?
Yeah, I think 2 years ago.
No, it was like a year and a half ago.
Okay, I'm off 6 months.
Or a year ago.
Okay. I would like to get another one on because this information, once again, I'm trying to find out, because I think that there is a big misconception when somebody says that they are getting a college fishing scholarship, that there is some, what's a good word for it, Matthew? Misinterpretation on what this scholarship consists of, especially with some of these smaller colleges. I think there are very, very, very few colleges and universities out there that actually offer a full scholarship ride, not based on academics, not based on the fact that you got a 33 or a 34 on your ACT.
Based on the fact that you caught him in high school.
That's it. We are giving you a 4-year scholarship based on the fact that you have went out and you caught him in high school.
Full ride.
Because of fishing.
How'd you end up at X university?
That's right.
Full ride fishing scholarship.
All right. Not a combination. You know what we're going to do? We're going to give you 15%. All right. And based on the fact that you had a 395 GPA and you had a 32 on your ACT, we can cover the remainder of your scholarship based upon academics.
Isn't a 32 like insanely good?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, 34 is perfect.
that's what I say. Like, I think a 32 is like rocket science.
Well,
stuff.
most of the time, if you get a 32, there are a number of universities and colleges
And just
across
give
the
you a
nation.
full ride.
But all based
You're
upon
talking Ivy
academics.
League.
No,
32?
34 for Ivy League.
That's it? I thought 34 was perfect.
Yeah.
You have to get a perfect to go to an Ivy League school?
I'd say 33, 34.
I never even took that. I took the SAT.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I had all the clubs the club hockey teams wanted me for my
Now,
SAT score.
I am not taking anything away, so please don't send in your hate email to me.
No,
I'm
you're
not
just
taking-
curious.
I just want to know, because here's the thing. I know at D2 schools, at NCAA Division II schools, Division III schools, they don't even give out athletic scholarships. Everything is academic.
My nose itches this morning.
Sorry, man. All right, and then obviously the D1 scholarships, athletic with a combination of academics. Shoot, there are a number of Division I schools from a baseball perspective. Very, very few full rides. Most of them are combinations of academic and athletic because they don't get the number of scholarships that football or basketball give, or women's softball. It's just the way that the situation is. For somebody out there that gets a 28 to 33 on their ACT, you deserve the scholarship money. But what I am questioning is the perception out there that people and students, both men and women, boys and girls, are receiving what they are classifying as full ride scholarships totally based upon fishing. I just want somebody to tell me, yes, that does exist, Mark. That is out there. That it is not a combination of academics plus, hey, here, we're going to throw in $15,000 toward your $35,000 annual or tuition rate per year. Anyway.
Yeah.
So if anybody has that, please email me, mark@bassnote.com.
That was, I started that just to point out that they were really catching
Well, I had that on my
smallmouth
list. I wanted to bring
River.
that up. Because I wanted to let everybody know, hey, when I get back from Vegas, I'm going to get to work on the women collegiate angler list that I received.
How'd you like
And
to
see
be
if we can
Brad
get on that.
Abelman and Seth Roberts from Bethel University?
Yeah.
They rolled in.
Yeah. Oh, by the way.
23 pounds of smallmouth in their box.
Here.
They probably thought they're in 36th place.
Yeah, good point. All right, real quick, I do want to correct myself. Let's see here. Greg is correct on the instant feedback. 34 is not a perfect score. 36 is.
36.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. I had 34 on my brain because my son got a 33, and I thought, oh, he was 1
AJ
point.
or
Mark.
Mark got a 33?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why he's a pilot.
Exactly.
What'd AJ get?
30.
Hey, you got pretty bright kids.
Yeah. He got a 30.
I saw him the other day. He's like, looks like
Giant.
Superman.
Yeah, he's
He literally looks like a bodybuilder. now.
he spends a lot of time in the weight
What
room.
is he, like 4% body fat?
Probably close to that.
6'3", 6'4"?
6'3", 215.
Yeah. I
Wide
mean,
receiver.
not 5 years ago, he was 5'9", $130.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's worked really hard. Anyway,
Were you ever cut up like that in your playing days?
no, that's skinny.
I mean, he got genetics.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah, from whoever my dad is. I have no idea who my dad is.
Well, I mean,
I know he was a boxer.
But you're
supposedly.
6'4".
My grandfather was a boxer.
6'4". Carolyn's 5'10".
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, so I apologize. That's right. 36 is a perfect score on that. So anyway, I want to throw something out at you because yesterday we spent a lot of time talking about your success at Rayburn, and we really didn't say anything about Chris Wilson, the guy that won it. Interesting stats on Mr. Wilson, isn't there,
let me see if I
Matthew?
can pull this up.
All right, well, what I found right here, out of his top 10 finishes, all right, he has 12 top 10 finishes. 9 of them were on Lake Sam Rayburn.
Yeah, it's a payday for him. You go back.
He's only fished one
He fishes
Costa.
one, and he finishes in the top 10. He sees it on the schedule. He could just pretty much mark out he's going to get at least $8,000.
Yeah, yeah. So, and he was fishing out too.
Shallow out.
All right. Was this one of the...
He's fished 18 events. He has 12 top 10 finishes. He's won $169,000 in 2 tournaments.
9 out of the 12.
Average that out.
Yeah.
I mean,
9 out of the 12 are on Sam Rayburn.
He, 15, 16, 17, 18. He has 5 years in a row of top 10s on Sam Rayburn.
And he's won on Sam
Rayburn. And
he's
won 13,000, 12,000, 11,000, 13,000, and 37,000.
Yeah.
It's literally for the last 5 years just been show up and make at least 10 grand.
At the lower tier, the Costas, the Opens, can you recall a greater HFA where the guy has actually performed at the HFA level?
No, I did not know that.
Unreal,
like, I mean,
man.
I looked him up after the first day. I mean, I had heard the name, but I didn't, and Chris Wilson. And I'm like, I don't really know who that guy is. And I look him up, and I'm like, good Lord, this guy catches him.
Yeah, on Sam Rayburn. So some unique characteristics about the guy that won. Now, you said shallow out.
Yeah.
Explain that real quick.
Well, I mean, like out was like, because the lake was up like 6 feet. So like all the typical stuff that was in like 15 to 18 feet that the guys drag and brush piles was in like over 22, 23. In some areas of the lake, the thermocline was in like 16 to 18 foot. Some areas didn't have it. So a lot of the fish that were caught out, I think Benzema caught them pretty deep, but so most of the fish that were caught out were in that like 10 to 15 foot range, which typically would have only been in like 4 to 6 foot of water with the water down.
All right. I got you.
And I mean, there's not a lot of guys who like are like, oh, I found a hard spot in 2 foot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, sorry about that.
Who was that?
Brad Hallman. He said Wilson has more top 10s than anyone on Rayburn.
There you have it. Might have been the greatest HFA.
Dickie Newberry might have more. In the Costas for sure.
Yeah.
But overall.
Yeah. I didn't realize that he won back, I believe it was 2011.
Yeah.
That he won
in a
also.
Costa too.
Yeah.
So seems like a pretty young guy.
Yeah.
It's
payday, man.
It is a cash cow for him. He is
like clocking in.
I mean, I would like to see Jason Christie on Grand and Chris Wilson on Sam Rayburn. Just did that. I mean, there's dominant guys in certain divisions. You wonder if it's easy for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those guys when they go out, because I mean, it's a struggle for almost all of us. You wonder if it's just like he just knows it when he goes out, or if he's like, God, I got another top 10 out here, or if it's just you just go out and do your thing, and it's like, I can't believe these other people are like not even competition to me.
I don't know. He's pretty good on Rayburn, though.
Yeah.
That's the obvious.
We
All
got
right.
Biffle. Let's go over under. Good mood, bad mood?
Good mood.
He's going to chat?
Yeah. He's in a good mood. 100%.
Tommy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Got some stats here on him that although the season might seem bleak, being 72nd out of 80 in the Angler of the Year standings, all is not lost for Mr. Biffle.
Okay.
Going to a state where he's won before, where he's caught him. He's got the Heritage Cup coming up.
All right, we're going to bring him in here in just a few minutes. Everybody stay tuned. Back with Biffle in a second.
Sleek new design with easy control file. The clearest images underwater with uncompromising range. Live mapping from the touchscreen. View notifications, video, even Google Maps on screen. And for the first time ever, real-time view of fish movements with live sight sonar. HDS Live. New from Lowrance.
I got my power pole down, stuck in the mud in the bottom of the lake, sitting so still in the wind and the waves, could even be a hurricane. I got my power pole down.
AFCO has a new foul weather rain suit called the Hydronaut. A lot of the features that I really like about it first is the speed vent hood. If it's raining out, How a person gets wet is when you run down the lake and the hood comes down. With the speed vent hood, it's going to stay up. It has a camera mount in the pocket on the chest. The Hydronaut has a 2-layer, 100% waterproof nylon shell. If you're interested in a rain suit that has a lot of cool features that's going to keep you dry, you need to check out the Hydronaut from AFCO.
Aaron Martins here. I'm going to be telling you about a new product by Sunline. It's Siglon PE x8. I've been using it almost extensively all year for my frogging, flipping, drop shotting, shaky heading, worming, jerk baiting. It's by far my favorite Sunline braid. I honestly, I don't say this unless I think it's true, but honestly it's the best braid in the market of any of the braids. Definitely check it out. It's a price point line, $14.95 for 165 yards, and that could last you a whole year, just one spool with using leader material. It's Siglon PE x8. It's my favorite braid, and I think if you use it, it'll be your favorite braid too.
Blue Water by TH Marine, offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
All right, we are back on a Thursday, closing out the week. I'm off to Las Vegas next week. What do you have going on next week, Matthew?
I got barrel races this weekend.
Yeah.
So I'll be shoveling horse poop and getting water and
what fun.
eating rodeo burgers.
All right.
And looking for somewhere to fish. I got the
it's kind of
bug
hard.
right now.
It's kind of hard in Oklahoma.
Hard
More
in this-
water.
in this neck of the woods. I guess we got Hollywood on the line now. He's take it a production break to talk to us.
All right,
Said he was
let's see
washing his
here.
boat and truck.
Well, he's got video shoot later this morning. Tommy, you there, man?
Yeah, Mark.
Well, man, busy time for you, but thanks for taking time out this morning to come on the show and kind of talk about what you have going on and kind of what you've done this year. So it's still a busy time for you, isn't it?
It's pretty busy. It's slowing down a little bit. You know, we're getting close to the end of the Bass Pro Tour tournaments and have a few cup tournaments. So it's slowing down a little bit.
All right, I want to ask you this before we jump into the MLF stuff real quick. Obviously, people that listen and watch this show know that we're based in Oklahoma. You live on Fort Gibson Lake. You also have a business on Fort Gibson Lake. The amount of rain that we have seen in the Midwest, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Have you ever seen Lake Fort Gibson at the levels that it's at for the period of time that it's been at this levels, and how much of an economic impact is all this rain having on businesses in eastern Oklahoma?
Well, I've lived here for 40-something years on Fort Gibson, and I've seen it up here, 26, 27 feet high for over 2 months. And I imagine this stretch here will be around that. I don't think it'll go down until maybe mid-July or later. And that's if it doesn't rain anymore. So, the economic impact, a lot of the businesses are hurting from, it's their prime time, summertime, spring, and it makes it tough on them. So, the fish are still out there. They're just a little bit harder to catch. They got plenty of water, plenty of bushes. It's really kind of like fishing a new lake.
All your hard spots are in 30 foot now. You got to use the 1.5 ounce BIFFLE head to get down to them. They're usually at like 4 to 6.
I would believe I wouldn't be fishing them right now. There's too many bushes and trees in the water.
A lot of stuff in the water. Well, I know a lot of people have been impacted. I know on Lake Tenkiller, they still do not have a boat ramp open. They have one area that you can launch a boat in, and it's not even from a ramp. It's actually from a road.
Well, it's like 30 foot high.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when lakes get high, Tenkiller, Fort Gibson, or any of them. You basically put in wherever you can get it in the water.
Now, this will be good. I mean, Gibson, you have a flood like this. There's not a lot of pressure, a lot of place for the fry. I mean, Gibson will kind of see a little boom in the next couple of years, won't it?
Yeah, it will. It's really good on the fishing aspect. It's hard on the trees and the brush and the cover that's around the lake. If they leave it up too long, it'll kill a lot of trees and buck bushes and willows, and that's what I hate. They did that several years ago, and we lost about all of our big willow trees and a lot of buck bushes. So, I don't mind it coming way up, but I want it to hurry up and get back down.
Nah, bass don't like those willows anyway, Tommy. They avoid those things.
Yeah. All right, Tommy, let's jump into the first season of Major League Fishing, the BBT. And from a statistical standpoint, you've qualified for one Cup event. You have $12,000 in earnings. But I've received several requests to get you on the show and talk a little bit about your style and whether or not you are liking the fact or trying to adapt what we have seen be success on the BPT, spinning rod, light line, 1 and 2 pounders. How have you adapted? Because let's face it, you've been enormously successful flipping and with the bug and everything like that. But it seems like that the game is much different the way that it is played over on the MLF side. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think that you have to adjust to what the conditions and the way that the game is played over on the MLF side?
Oh yeah, it's a completely different game. Like I did a lot of seminars. I always said I would rather fish for 5 big bites than catch 50 little ones. Well, now it's just the opposite. You would rather catch 50 little ones. So I've got 4 or 5 spinning rods now, and I've learned how to use them. And it's just it's a game that if you don't get on them when it first starts, you're behind. I mean, within 15, 20 minutes, you're 10 pounds, 15 pounds behind, because somebody out of that 80 guys is going to be catching them from the start. And, one thing we saw at Table Rock a couple of weeks ago was if you wanted to move from this cove to the next cove over, if you took the 5 to 7 minutes maybe to make a short run to a pocket or cove, you were 5 to 7 or 10 pounds behind. That's how bad they were catching them. So, it's really a hard deal. And I always hunted for, a fish here, a fish there, like you do when you're flipping and pitching. Now you've got to have schools. If you don't have schools, you can't keep up.
You fished Major League Fishing, the Cups before this, so the MLF format was not new to you. Maybe the practice days and the BPT, but did you expect it to be this much of an adjustment for you, or have there been moments throughout the year where you're like, holy cow, I really have to relearn a lot of things that I've done since the 70s?
Well, yeah, you've got to relearn a lot since back in the 70s and fishing back in the day. But I think what really you got to learn is that you have to get the mindset of, I've got to be catching them every second or every minute of the day. And, until you get a big lead on them or get in a position that you can maybe go practice for the next day, but you're talking about 60, 70, 80, 90, or 100 pounds in one day. And, that's hard to do crappie fishing. So, it's definitely different.
Tommy, do you practice different now when you're getting ready for this event?
Yeah, you do. And just say Table Rock, for instance. I thought I was having a pretty good practice, getting 50, 60 bites a day. Well, that wasn't even mediocre. Jacob Wheeler catches 130-something pounds. So there were several caught. Sheehan caught over 100 pounds. So your little old 40, 50 bite days that you would think would be pretty good, and it's different on different bodies of water, but you got to be catching them big time.
Tommy, I was talking to Jeff Crete last week, and he was adamant about the fact that the results and the way that the weights are produced is really dependent upon the body of water that you're on. And the fact that you guys were at Table Rock in back-to-back events, the characteristics of that lake is that there are thousands of 1 and 2 pounders in that lake. And that's just a reflection of the results that took place. Do you agree with that statement? And do you think that we're not going to see those type of scores when it's solely dependent upon the lake that you guys are on?
Well, yeah, I think I really think when we go up north to some of the northern lakes that they're going to be bigger and more numbers than basically a smallmouth. But you're talking about a place the same as Table Rock. It's got millions of fish in it. And the thing that surprised me most about Table Rock was there wasn't very many good quality fish caught. And that's kind of was surprising to me.
One of the things that I found interesting this year, and we hypothesized what would be the primary lures and tactics, and obviously the chatterbait has played a major role, drop shot, a wacky worm, but you look at the bait that you kind of pioneered, the bug on the BIFFLE head, and as far as a bottom technique, it is probably the most efficient way to cover water quickly. You're not dragging something. You're basically fishing it like a crankbait the way you fish it. And I thought coming into this year that the bug, especially with stops on Smith and Table Rock and even throw Conroe into that mix, Chickamauga, that the bug would be a major player this year because you could get quality bites, you can get number of bites, and you can cover a lot of water. So far, based on what I've seen, I mean, the bug hasn't really been as big of a factor as I thought it would be. Is that kind of your thought process, too, on that?
Well, kind of. I'm thinking the same way you are. I can throw that bug. I can cover a lot of water. I can catch a 6 or 7 pound fish on it real easy, and I can catch a lot of numbers on it when you find a school. So, I was kind of thinking along that line, but every now and then that bug bites me because I don't want to lay it down. And I think there'll be a time, maybe not this year, maybe this next tournament, that I'll wear them out on that bug because I have wore them out before so many times, catching lots of numbers. But when you're sitting on them drop shotting or something like that, and it's a big school, that's like crappie fishing. It's hard to compete with that. But, there's a lot of little fish caught. But this year, say Conroe, a lot of big fish caught. Had big weights, wasn't that many little fish. So, it really depends on the fishery, whether you can compete with the little ones or you just go fishing. And I think a lot of our tournaments has been this year that's where you could just go fishing and fish the way you want to fish and keep up. But, when you got to table rock, it's a different story.
Tommy, how would you classify your attitude as far as your performance this year? Would it be pissed off, angry, satisfied, disappointed? What would it be? Because this is not a typical Tommy Biffle season.
No, I'd say I've been pretty disappointed. There's been a couple of them that I thought I was going to catch them pretty good, and something happened, make the wrong decision. Conroe, I had a place, it turned off the first morning that I fished, kind of cool and cold, and I was catching them in about a foot and a half of water, and make the wrong decision. I go to where I caught a 3 and a 4 pounder and another keeper. And, go the first period and fish that area and then don't catch them. Well, I go to where I was going to start, and little old lily pad patch, Mark Davis is in one of them catching them, and another guy was in the other one catching them. So, if I would have made the right decision and went to those lily pads first, then I would have been the one catching them. So it depends on a lot of decisions, and you don't hardly get way behind in that game and catch up real easy. Not unless you find or run into a big school.
Perfect segue into something I wanted to kind of bring up and talk about. We talked a little bit about this yesterday on the show with the 2 BPT tour events, and then you take your combined scores from that to qualify for the first of 4 cups, and every 2 events is averaged. A guy like you has actually really benefited from that format this year, because it says 72nd in the place, and you in the point standings, BPT point standings, you have 4 finishes below 70th place. But what I really want to focus on there is the 13th place finish and the 27th place finish in stage 3 and 4 on North Carolina and Chickamauga, which put you in 12th place in the standings and qualified you for the Heritage Cup. So as the season progresses, you're out of it for the Red Crest, you're out of it for some of the other cups, but with this unique format and the way that it's structured, you can look at this year and be somewhat disappointed, but heck, you go out in that Heritage Cup and win it. Now you've got the $12,000 in earnings for this year, maybe more depending on what happens in stage 8, plus the chance to win a cup and have all the exposure from that. So I think that in a sense, that format, it really benefits a lot of those anglers and keeps everyone in it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it does. That's the good thing about this format is really you're fishing 2 tournaments and then you start over. So if you have 2 bad tournaments and then you go to the 3rd tournament, everything's even and good again. So it's those cup tournaments, are good money tournaments. And like you say, they're a little bit different. And I like that because there is no practice. We don't know where we're going. You get 30 minutes to ride around and then it starts. I told them when this thing started, when you let those guys, I wanted to have no practice. When you let those guys have a day and a half of practice, as good as they are with their electronics, and as good as electronics are nowadays, they're going to find all they need, basically. If the fish are out deeper, they're really going to catch them. So, I like the format of the cup tournaments better, really, than the Pro Bass Tour. So, just because there's no practice. I've always said for years and years, a perfect tournament, I think, would be 6 days of tournament, show up, when you get there, it starts, and you go for 6 days. So it's different, but it's fun. You know, it's a good change.
Tommy, are you an owner? Are you one of the owners?
No.
Okay. How active have you been? Because, I mean, you're one of the seasoned veterans in this game. You've been doing it for so long. How active are you in trying to improve and really make this thing better? Or are you kind of just stepping back and watching and see what happens?
Well, I would say I was somewhat active. I wouldn't say I was real active because I'm not really trying to get them to do some idea or something that I want to do. You know, we had a committee now for our lakes that we're going to, and they wanted you to submit lakes, and I'm looking at some of the ones that the guys are submitting, and, you know, it's their home lake. You know, I would like to have one here on Fort Gibson, but I'm not going to put it down as one of them to go to.
Yeah.
You know, probably should, but, you know, some of them's trying to talk them into going to the TVA lakes, you know, and they're really hurting right now. But it's a good group of guys, and like Boyd says, they got a group that trying to pull the rope, all of them the same direction. So anytime we have something, it comes up for a vote. Everybody votes on it, and that's a really good change.
I'm surprised. You should go with Fort. You should have put Fort Gibson down, Tommy. It makes sense. We in the North OKC Club tournament, we each get 3 votes. You send your votes in for the 3 lakes. I voted for Lake Thunderbird, and Dirty Bird.
Yeah, but see, now you fall in the category of one of them guys.
See, you're one of them guys.
I'm one of them guys.
You're trying to benefit yourself by going to Dirty Bird because you know you can catch them there.
Well, hell yeah.
He's one of those guys,
Hell yeah.
Tommy. He's one of those guys. All right, on the instant feedback, Dave in Illinois has a really good question. I don't think I've ever asked you this, Tommy. How did you get in bass fishing to begin with when you were young?
When I was 15, I went to a jackpot here on Fort Gibson with a guy, and got bit, I guess, by the competition. You know, I used to shoot competition archery from the time I was 12 till I was in my 20s, and anything that's got a competition, I don't care if it's throwing rocks or spears or shooting a bow and arrow or whatever, I'm in on it. So, you know, I started, I guess, tournament fishing when I was 15 and fished around here in Oklahoma and did good. And the first national tournament I went to was on Table Rock, and I ended up second in it. Guido won it, and Denny was third. And I thought, well, there's not much to this, so I'll try to make a living at it.
How'd you catch him in that first one when you were 15?
Do you remember?
It was probably flipping if I was guessing. It was either that or fishing a worm. It was here on Fort Gibson.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, Tommy, I want to ask you this. Obviously, you fit in this category, but do you think the game has reached a point that there needs to be, even if it's only 2-3 events a year, and I know time's a factor, but do you think that we have reached a point where there could be a following of a senior tour that takes place like in all other sports, individual sports, because there are so many guys that are over the age of 55, 50, that I think the fans would love to see those guys compete against each other. What are your thoughts on a senior tour?
I would love to see a seniors tour, but I just don't think there's enough seniors. You know, I don't know how many of them that you could get to come out and fish that's not fishing now. But, yeah, I would like to see a seniors tour just to have another tour to fish.
I think you'd be surprised. I think there's a number of guys that are over the age of 50 that would qualify as seniors. And as the younger guys come in, I think with the evolution of what has taken place over the last 15 years, that age 50 threshold, you're going to see more and more people surpass the 50 age mark. So I think when everybody's sitting around talking about what we can do to showcase this game, I think even if you only had 20, 30 guys compete in 2-3 events a year, then I think the fans would thoroughly enjoy seeing you guys go after it in 2 or 3 events a year.
Yeah, I think they would too, and that might be a good thing to bring up to the board and see if we can get them to start at over 50s chairs.
Absolutely.
Van Dam would be in that. He's 51.
Yeah.
He's 51. Right. How is he 51?
Yeah, dude, he's old.
That's crazy.
All right. Hey, a couple of technique questions from the instant feedback. Sean in Dallas wants to know, when you're not flipping or using a bug, what is your favorite soft plastic to use?
Well, it'd probably have to be a worm. If I couldn't use a bug, which I use it a lot, and several different techniques, the hard head and flipping or pitching. If you couldn't do that, probably be throwing a worm.
All right. And then Binkwood wants to know, how much does bottom density have to do with the success of using the bug and the hard head?
Well, I thought it was always better, and it is good in rocks and hard top bottom. But I've won tournaments on pure sand. I've caught them real good on sand and grass mix, like at Seminole, where you just have, clumps of grass, kind of spotty. And so anything other than just pure slimy stuff on the bottom, I think you can throw it and catch them.
All right, I was thinking of you the other week when I was flipping at Sam Rayburn. One of my buddies was catching him on a white flipping bait, and I remember that you were a big fan of that bug in the double platinum color.
Yeah.
Can you just, I know you've talked about this before. This is a selfish question.
Oh, it's all about you.
It's all about me. Can you run down when you go with that, when you're flipping that double platinum, not a green pumpkin, not a June bug color, but that silver white color?
Anytime they're feeding on shad or they're shad around, I'll use that. It's called double silver, and I'll use it. It's my favorite. It's on my truck, it's on my boat, it's on my shirt, and a lot of people will go, "Well, I just thought you liked it because it's pretty." I said, it catches the fire out of them. I mean, long as you're fishing in a place that's got a shad in it, they'll bite it. And then, one of the ones I won up in, the river up there in Wisconsin.
La Crosse.
Mississippi. Yeah, La Crosse. I was catching them first day on the silver and flipping bushes, and then I would go do my smallmouth deal with the green punket and hardhead. But what really got me was I flipped my silver bug in a bush the second day that I knew, you just know there's one in that bush, and I didn't get a bite. And then I sat down there and I put a green pumpkin on, tipped it, legs and the tail with orange, going to go to the next bush, pick my power poles up, and for some reason flipped right in that bush. I just had the silver one in and caught a 3-pounder. That fish didn't stop. He just didn't swim up there in that bush and stop while I was sitting right on top of it. He was there the whole time. So really, whatever the fish are eating, whether it's crawdads or shad, but if I could only have one out of all the colors they make, it would be silver.
So if you're in a part of the country, you're flipping bushes, you see shad flick, or there's a shad spawn going on or something, you'll do your typical flipping setup, but flip the double silver to imitate a shad in those bushes. And those fish hit it on the way down, suspended as you're pumping it mostly, I would assume, instead of off the bottom, or you fish it exactly the same as you would the green pumpkin?
You fish exactly the same, and where they get it, whether it's going down or you have to work it up and down after it goes to the bottom. That just depends on the water depth and the fish. And if they're biting good, they'll get it before it ever gets to the bottom. But then if they're not and they're a little lethargic, then you may have to work it up and down 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 10 times, whatever it is, and to get them to bite. But if there's one around, he's going to bite that silver.
Last question. Work better in cleaner water or muddy water, or you're going to flip one regardless of the water color?
I'm going to flip one regardless. And there's a little story. You remember when the color selectors came out?
Yeah, that's Kenyon Hill's dad. Dr. Lauren Hill is
Yeah.
the one who created that there, University of Oklahoma.
Yeah, I guess you read that because you probably wasn't even born then.
No, I'm buddies with Kenyon. I hang out with Kenyon.
Hey, we've talked about that thing forever on this
Numerous
show.
times.
Yeah.
Jeffrey still uses it.
No, I do not.
Determine what
you.
color is spook or Carolina rig to throw, because those are the only two things he uses.
Yeah. Well, they came out with it, and Sharon was messing with it, and we were Eufaula. And you know how red Eufaula can get. Mm-hmm. Kind of looks like Dirty Bird. And we were catching them. I was catching them on a jig. And I said, put that color selector in the water and see what color it says. And that thing went straight to silver. And she put on, back then it was a silver craw. She put one on and wore my butt out. So
Wow.
there was something to that color selector.
Huh. I wonder how many of them are still out there. When's the last time you've seen one, Tommy?
I think Fritz has 2 on his boat. Uses it with his flasher.
That'd be 2 old Lowrance flashers, what he's got.
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly. Do you still have one, Tommy?
Yeah, I still got one.
Does it work?
It's in there. Well, I don't know. It's in there on the shelf.
When was the last time you used it?
20 years ago.
Are you going to have a camera this week in Winnebago? I'm serious about this. You need to put that thing in your boat, and the first morning you're on, they say, Tommy, you're on. You break that damn color selector out, drop it in, and say, let's see what color we're
That would
flipping
be awesome.
today.
Yeah, I need to call Kenyon first.
Kenyon
Yeah,
he'd say, go for it, man.
We were at Table Rock years ago and fished a tournament there. And a friend up there wanted me to stay and fish a tournament on Sunday, just an open tournament, with him. Make a long story short, we're going down the bank throwing spooks, getting a bite every now and then. They're missing it more than they're getting it. And a guy comes down the bank, and we see him catch 2 or 3, throwing a spook. And we meet and said, boy, they're biting pretty good. Yeah, he said, they're biting good. He said, however many he'd caught. We passed each other and went on, and I told that old boy I was fishing with, you may have known him, he's Terry Thomas up there in Missouri.
Oh, yeah, I know Terry.
And I said, boy, I wish we had one of them color selectors to see what color it'd say. He said, I got one. He got down there in the box and got it out and set it right on top of the water. And we were throwing shad and white spooks. It said the yellow that was on the bottom of that bullfrog spook. If you remember what color yellow that was.
Yeah.
We put a bullfrog spook on and crushed them. There was no more hitting at it, missing it. When they hit at it, they ate it. So, I'm a believer in it. Probably ought to break one out.
Oh, you need to do that in Wisconsin
They
next
just
week.
doubled in price on eBay right now, like that Gerald Swindle crankbait. We're going to get in all the haters from the color selector collectors that are going to be
hey, we were talking about the college anglers. How many of those college anglers do you think even know what that is?
a couple of them are historians, but I would say 1%.
Less than 1%.
That'd be about my guess. There wouldn't be very many of them.
I really want one now. Do you have one, Mark?
I have one somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I do have
That's the missing piece to my game.
Well, I'm going to have a garage sale here one of these days, and if I find mine, I'll call you.
Hey, when you have your garage sale, I want first dibs. I want to come up and I want to set up a camera so we could just watch people go through Tommy's stuff live. You could just tune in to Tommy's garage sale for 8 hours live.
We could do BTL for 4 hours at the Tommy BIFFLE garage sale.
That's it. That's a done deal.
Yeah.
He didn't sound too
He
thrilled
did,
about
he
that.
didn't agree. He did not agree to that.
All right. Hey, another.
Probably I'll talk to my wife because when I have a garage sale and get rid of my junk, I'll probably be dead.
Jeez. All right, back
I'm
to
keeping all my.
that's funny. That's funny. All right, back to a technique question. Frank in Michigan wants to know: have you ever used a swim bait on your hard head? He says it's a great setup.
Oh yeah, yeah, yep. I put a swim bait on there a long time ago.
Really wants to go into the details on that, doesn't he?
Frank,
Well,
let the
Folks,
cat out of
that's
the
how you
bag.
know it's productive.
I was going to say that I'm probably one of the only ones around that's got big enough hooks for a swim bait on some hardheads.
Huh.
I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. There you have it. There you have it. Tommy, I have one more business question, and then we're going to let you go, and then I have a follow-up question on that. But with your involvement in Gene LaRue Lures, I'm curious, because of the way that things have progressed from a winning tactic technique on the BPT, Major League Fishing, has there been any discussion to refine some potential products or create some potential products based upon the success that some of the guys have had on the BPT?
I don't think so. I've been trying to get them to make a bait or two over the last year or so, but I don't think that Gene LaRue is a company that, kind of like some of the other ones, that if a bait gets hot, they're going to run and make him one that looks just like it. They pretty well come up with what they're going to make and what they're doing. So I hadn't talked to them about anything like that.
I mean, we've seen it over the years where success has really created opportunities for tackle companies to capitalize on what has been successful in winning. And, whether it takes 6 months, 3 months, 12 months, whatever the number is, not necessarily copying, but being creative to showcase what has proven as being successful. So that's an interesting take on that, Tommy.
Yeah, it's, just kind of like, I guess the frog on the buzzbait now is a pretty big deal. Gene LaRue's had a 3-legged frog for years and years that floats. You put a 5/0 hook in it or whatever and throw it out there and it'll float. It'd be a great bait for a buzzbait. One, because it floats, and two, because the 3 little legs don't make a lot of noise like a rivet frog or something, and it just goes really well with a buzzbait.
Very cool.
I have just
Last
a
one.
couple more little questions. So
Okay.
are you shooting a commercial or?
I really don't know. It's
But-
testimony for product, I know, and a couple other things that they're wanting to do. I don't know what exactly.
But you got
they're gonna do.
cameras and lights, the whole 9 yards set up.
Not yet, but I'm afraid they're gonna.
Do you got makeup on?
No.
They're not going to have to pack. Is there a lunch meat spread for the talent?
Well, no, because I think we're going to do it here in the backyard at the pond, and I probably should go get them lunch, I guess.
Well, I figured they'd get you
It may
lunch
be-
since you're
it
the
may be
talent.
supper time I get done.
All right.
Wow. All right. Tommy, man, we really, really appreciate you coming on and being honest and really kind of opening up with your season, and wish you nothing but the best, man. And I want to ask you, is there a ramp open at Fort Gibson? Do you know?
Not that I know of. There's places that you can put in.
Right. But there's
But-
just
but
like
not a ramp.
Taylor's Ferry is still closed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think any of the core places are closed.
Wow.
Toppers you can put in up there. You can put in over in the park, at the lodge. There's, several places that you can just back it in and put in. But I've been not out there, but across the bridge many times in the last week, and I have not seen a boat out there yet.
Wow.
So the guy comes down and fishes, he pretty well have it to himself.
Wow. All right, man. Tommy, best of luck to you, man. We will see you soon, and good luck at the next event in Wisconsin.
Winnebago, 135,000
Okay.
acres.
Yeah. Lots of stuff there. All right, Tommy, be careful,
Yeah.
man.
All righty.
All right.
Thank you.
See you later. There you have
right.
it. Tommy Biffle, good stuff. You
It
know,
wouldn't
he was-
surprise me if he catches them in Wisconsin. I mean, look at what he's done in New York. He's had a top 10 in Green Bay.
Yeah.
He's won in lacrosse.
One of the things that really sticks in my mind about Tommy, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but remember his performance that he had at Oneida. Everybody said, smallmouth, 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 and he was catching fish in this much water, crystal clean.
Yep. He's the one who kind of exposed the flip and bite on
Yeah.
Oneida.
Yeah, I was blown away by that. Blown away. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how some of those guys, you can go down the list and you can see how so many of the guys are struggling a little bit.
It'll be very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I gotta be careful how I word this.
Be careful. It's not about you, is it?
No. It'll be very interesting to see how the fishing locations of anglers unfold on Winnebago. It is the largest lake entirely within the state of Wisconsin. It is 137,000 acres, not a everyday tournament destination.
Yeah.
It's a lot of water to fish in a lot of different areas that have a lot of different fish in it.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see if anybody's grouped up, different anglers in the same spot. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like a Chickamauga where you're like, hey, catch them out in front of the
Well, look
plant
how
every
big
single
Table
day.
Rock was. I mean, Table Rock's pretty big. They
Right,
weren't
but
bunched
Table
up.
Rock has dozens and dozens of tournaments, and there's areas that you historically catch them on, and there's, you catch them here and here and here, and this is where, Table Rock this is kind of an unknown.
How many guys have been to Winnebago?
Probably 5 or 10
Yeah.
over the course of their lives.
They can't
it's-
talk to each other. They can't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if they
Pretty
all
cool
figure out
dynamic.
the same thing, or,
Yeah.
because the odds of fight at the same spot, 137,000 acres.
Yeah. Pretty cool dynamic. We'll see. All right, real quick. Carl in Ohio wants to know, what type of business does Tommy own? He owns a marine dealership. Sells
Polaris.
Yeah.
It's really nice. You go
Yeah.
down the road to Fort Gibson. It's just this blue neon giant thing with like wooden building. It says Tommy Biffle Polaris gated outside.
I don't know if the sign is still there, but when I was right out of college, Tommy lives in Wagner, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
There was a sign that when you entered the city limits, it said, "Welcome to Wagner, home of professional fishing champion Tommy Biffle."
Very nice.
I don't know if that sign's still there or not.
We do have some odds and ends we can talk about with the MLF heading into the last one, since we're not going to have a show tomorrow. Next one will be kind of right when that tournament kicks off. 5 anglers still without a check. 0 earnings.
Not good.
Now, they're not 50,000 in the hole with entry fees, but they
They're
can't
still
be
in the
making
hole.
money. Roy Hawk, which really shocked me.
Yeah, me too.
Mike McClellan, massive shock.
Yeah.
Britt Myers, Jason Lambert, who I think is a victim of his own success. The guy puts some on the ledges and see what happens.
Yeah.
And Paul Elias, who you never know. Every 5 years, Paul is due
Something
for some
happens.
crazy record-breaking technique.
Yeah.
So don't count him out yet. But the other thing that I went and I looked back on, and this will change a little bit, but is the 2018 Bassmaster Elite Series Final Angler of the Year standings. Lost in all this was probably the greatest battle in the past 7-8 years for the Angler of the Year. There had been some between like Van Dam and Faircloth and stuff going back, or Reese and stuff, but the Lucas Bertrand battle of 2018, that seems like 5 years ago, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I took the top 10 from last year's Angler of the Year, which was Justin Lucas, Josh Bertrand, Bradley Roy, Otter, Brent Chapman, Amart, Porosnik, Polinick, Wheeler, and Dean Rojas. And only 2 of those anglers who were in the top 10 last year are in the top 10 in the BPT standings, led by Jacob Wheeler in 5th and Ott Defo in 7th. Also note, Ott, coming off of the Classic win, did not miss a beat. Now, I don't know what his obligations have been as the Classic champ. I would imagine probably less than any other Classic champ in history. Probably just put the trophy there, got the check, and moved on. A couple commercial shoots, and that's it. But he did it. But, Lucas is in 44th, Bertrand's in 39th, Chapman's in 46th, Rojas is in 59th. So, a lot of different guys up there at the top. And I believe also there's only like 6 guys without MLF experience that are in the Red Crest as of now who haven't fished some form of Major League Fishing, the Geico Selects, or Cup. So
that's interesting stuff. All right, I want to do this. I want to ask you a question, really, really kind of off the cuff here. You're not prepared for it, but do you know what tonight is? Do you know what takes place tonight? At least I think it's tonight.
Yeah, the NBA draft.
NBA draft is tonight. So what I want to do is, if all the anglers in professional fishing, all the names, on the board, off the board, whatever, right? Nobody is associated with any team. Think of it as a expansion draft, and everybody is available. Everybody, FLW, Major League Fishing, Bass, Costas, Opens, whatever. Even the Federation or the Nation, it doesn't matter. All right? Who would your top 3 picks be?
My top 3 picks.
Yeah, you are a franchise owner. You are ready to draft. Who would your first 3 picks be?
My number 1 pick would be Brian Thrift.
Okay.
My number 2 pick would be Jacob Wheeler.
Okay.
And my number 3 pick would be Todd Faircloth.
All right. Not bad, not bad. We actually have one in common in what my top 3 would be.
Brian Thrift?
No.
How the hell is Brian Thrift not in your top 3, Mark?
He's just not, man.
You would be a horrible draft GM. You would be atrocious GM.
Yeah. I got a little old school flair.
You'd be like the Flyers. You'd be the Philadelphia Flyers of the fishing world.
You know what is really cool is to
the
read
New York
these stories.
Islanders.
Every time
the New York Knicks.
Every time the drafts, be it the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, whatever, they always come out with these top 10 draft flops, and it's really, really cool to see some of the names. You're like, oh, wow, I forgot about him.
Who would you pick?
My number 1 guy?
Yeah.
Jacob Wheeler.
He was my number 2 guy.
Yeah. Number 2 guy, Edwin Evers. You rolled your eyes, dude. Is there anybody besides Jacob Wheeler been more consistent over the last 3 years than Edwin?
No.
No?
I mean, the Classic, he's going to probably win the Red Cross Angler of the Year, have wins on everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And then my 3rd guy is old school because I really, really want this guy based upon just his quirkiness, his ability to perform. It's an FLW guy.
An old school?
Yeah.
Not David Dudley.
David Dudley.
He's pretty new schools, too.
Not that he hasn't adapted, but, dude, he's been around for a long time.
So who do you have? So
I got Wheeler, Edwin, and David Dudley. That's my top 3 picks.
And I've got Thrift, Wheeler, and Faircloth.
Yeah.
Thrift because, I mean, dude, Thrift's remarkable. People forget the guy has not even been fishing 15 years. And look what he's accomplished.
Yeah. Now, could we go all the way down the top 10?
Now, this is shocking. Neither of us have... Is this the changing of the guard?
What's that?
Neither of us have Van Dam.
I know. Another name that I thought about, somebody actually said it on the instant feedbacks, was Mr. Cox.
John Cox.
Yeah.
Right. But if I'm doing it, I want someone that's versatile.
Yeah.
Not that Cox isn't versatile, but 90% of his wins are doing one thing.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I pick Faircloth.
Yeah. Other
coast
names,
to coast, north, south, east, west.
I got
grass hard.
Other names on the instant feedback that people have brought up: Jordan Lee, Defo. Let's see here.
Aaron.
Yeah, a lot of Jacob Wheeler. Somebody even said David Dudley. So I think it would be cool. I really, really believe, Matthew, and I've talked about this before. I've done a whole show on it. If somehow, some way, the sport and the game could evolve to where you actually have a true team competition where a fan base can get established and get behind
as a specialty event, not as you got to have your 5 bass tournament deal for the guys. You go catch them, and then this is a side deal in the off season where you go play for your team, quote unquote, for 3 or 4 tournaments.
For your franchise. It would be very, very cool to have the draft. You have the college kids that now, how cool would it be to be a collegiate angler knowing that you're going to get drafted by, I don't know, the Kansas City Kings or whatever? Be pretty
Fort
cool.
Gibson Biffles.
What was the name of that color again? Do you remember?
Double silver.
Double silver.
You've got a big
silvers.
box of them. I know he's talked about it before, but I'm sitting there flipping going, I need some double silver. I was like, I need that super silvery color. That's what I was thinking.
You don't have any?
No, I've got the white trash beaver.
Okay. Interesting.
But you can flip that bug and you can put a rattle in it.
Yeah.
It's hollow in there.
Very cool. All right, next week, folks, as I mentioned on the show yesterday, I'm headed to Bowl Expo. Got some great interviews lined up. Very excited about so much conversation that I've had on this show about the comparison between professional bowling and professional fishing. Going to interview some guys. Got an interview with Tom Clark.
What are you doing tomorrow morning? You going to be around?
Tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
No, I have... we have a team camp tomorrow.
Oh, but you'll be back here tomorrow?
What's
at some point?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So next week, Matthew is going to do 3 best of shows. Really good feedback on the best of shows that we did last week, Matthew. Going back, I mean, the first show we did, we went back 12 years when Judici and I were actually hosting it on Sirius XM. So look for that next week. And then are you gone the first week of July? Because I looked at the calendar and you got it blocked out.
Yeah, that's my vacation week. But
where are you going?
I don't know yet.
So you just blocked it out and go, I'm going on vacation and I don't know where I'm going. Is it a family vacation?
No, we originally might have gone up there with my parents, but that might be my drive up north vacation. Just hook the boat up and drive to Mille Lacs.
By yourself?
Yeah. Drive to Erie.
Huh. Well, we need to talk because I got some ideas, if that's the case.
I cannot sit here and look at these smallmouth. We go up there every single year. I can't sit here and look at them and not go do it. And I got to film for AFCO. Because, I mean, I've got the Curto Pro Bass Camp, then the Sam Rayburn tournament, then I'm going to have like a gap there. So I need a smallmouth one and then ICAST, and then that takes us through July.
So... All right, so we're kind of up in the air then on the week that we get back from the best stuff. But I've got some ideas. If that's what you want,
it involves me catching smallmouth, I'm open to them.
Yes, absolutely. So if that's the case, I got an idea, and we'll talk about it after the show. So once again, I want to thank Tommy Biffle for taking time out to come on the show. Best of next week, and then make sure you check out the following week's schedule on BassZone.com, and I'm going to have hopefully some cool video and some interviews in the comparison of what I like to talk about between the two games. All right, Matthew, good stuff. Glad to be back in studio. We're kind of in that summertime. Guntersville this week, you still go with 85 pounds. You taking the over or under?
85?
Yep.
I'll take the over. I think it's going to be 85 something.
Okay. 85 is the number, though.
What do you think?
I'm taking the over. Yeah, taking the over. We'll see. We shall see. A ton of fishing left on the bass side. Final event coming up on Winnebago for the MLF guys.
Who wins it? Starts tomorrow.
Guntersville?
On the Elite Series.
Canterbury.
I think Bill Lowen gets a win.
Okay.
I think it shocks everybody. The thing is one shallow. And Bill the Thrill.
We'll see.
Lifts the trophy.
That's a good pick.
Out of the aluminium.
That's a good pick. All right, everybody be safe. Stay cool. Get out on the water if you get a chance. And we will talk to you in a week. Everybody, we're out of here.